Hi there, I'm Terry and welcome to 5 Minute Velo. I've now covered over 1,700 kilometers or 1,000 miles on my cheap Chinese wheels that I sourced direct from China via eBay. So today I'm going to give you an update on how they've been performing. At the end I'll link to some videos, one where I go through the buying decisions that I made before purchasing the wheels, and the second where I unboxed the wheels and took a first look at them. Well, this actually went on very easily. My preferred tyres, these Maxxis detonators, fitted on very easily and they popped into position at about 60 psi. My first impressions were I couldn't really notice much of a difference to my giant PR2 wheels. However, the more I used them, the more I noticed the increased stiffness, particularly when I was climbing out of the saddle. One of the things that did concern me was the susceptibility of these wheels to side winds, and I've ridden it in some fairly windy conditions of about 25 to 30 miles an hour. But I did notice that the wind occasionally caught the front wheel and forced the steering to wobble a little bit. I didn't consider this to be dangerous wobble. In fact, my motor reflexes quickly adapted. An interesting thing that one of my riding companions noted was how quiet the wheels were. They didn't have that typical carbon fibre rumble that you get with some deep section wheels. I commented that this may be that I'm running my tyres at a relatively low pressure. As for the braking performance, I used the as-supplied carbon-specific brake blocks that came with the wheels. I haven't ridden these wheels in the wet, however in the dry, the power of the brake seems to be relatively good, certainly as good as most other rim brakes that I've used, and the feel and modulation is okay. So I wouldn't say that these are spectacular braking wheels, certainly not as good as a hydraulic disc brake, however I find them perfectly adequate. As for the wheel bearings, out of the box they were very smooth. However, when I put them in my hand like this and run the wheels, I can feel a slight roughness. Well, roughness is probably an exaggeration. All I can say is they're not quite as smooth as they used to be. This is something that I'll need to keep an eye on. However, when I open it up, at least the bearings are of standard sizes and therefore I can replace them relatively easily. As for the reliability of these wheels, well, I've had no broken spokes. I haven't had to true the wheels at all, and as you can see on screen now, I've made some measurements of the out of trueness of the wheel using a dial test indicator. The front wheel and the side-to-side run out seems to be less than 0.2 of a millimetre. Here are the measurements. So far I haven't noticed any damage to the rims from the brake block. All I've noticed is a slight polishing of the surface, as you may be able to see here. This is true for both the front and the rear wheels. In summary, so far I have had zero reliability issues with the wheels. They ride well and the braking performance is good, but not best in class. However, I do live in a relatively flat area of the country and I haven't ridden the wheels in the wet, so perhaps they haven't been quite as challenged as they could have been. However, I am 90 kilos in weight and I've ridden them over some fairly rough patches of road. Comparing my wheels to some that have been reviewed in this video up here, my wheels, I would say, seem just as good. However, they are over £1,000 less expensive. Now that's a lot of money. So far I'm happy with these wheels and I will happily recommend them to you. Well, to your right are the links that I promised. Please click on the 5 Minute Velo logo in order to subscribe. While you're at it, why not hit the bell icon below so that you can get notifications of future videos. From me, for now, it's goodbye.